This is Perkz, and you're watching Thorin's YouTube channel. I would like you guys to appreciate his YouTube channel, even though he talks sometimes so much that not even I can handle it. But most of the time it's pretty funny and entertaining.
I mean, this ties into some of the things I was talking about earlier. Like the thing I said about like the effect that seeming like the one who's the more dominant elite player can have on the opponent. I think that is the case, mate, because the joke is, like, I'll give you another example. So in CSGO, a game that obviously has a lot of individual skill, people all say the same thing who are pros, right? They all just go like, look, even if you're playing against Simple, who people don't know is like the best player ever, even if you're playing against Simple, they say like, you just treat him like any other player. And it's like, I know what they mean. That is what you should do. But I'll tell you right now, Perkz, most people don't. Like, even top players, they do see the name on their screen killing all their teammates, and they are like, shit, if I peek now and peek. So that's in the back of your mind. So the problem is you do almost make them godlike. And the reason I bring this up is, and because you're one of the few guys who can talk about this, is most of the other times in history that people came close to beating one of these Asian teams with Showmaker or Faker or Uzi, there's a lot of people, won a game against them or won a couple, had a close series. But like in their mind, I do think they thought like, nah, we're not going to win though. Like the amount of wins you've had over, like I said, you've beaten all those players I just said. That's a pretty good list, by the way. Uzi, Faker, Showmaker. These are the GOATs. Like what you're saying there, you actually do have to believe they're human and they can fail, right?
Yeah, but it's also like in that sense, like exactly what you mentioned. Like I don't see them as players who are better than me. Like I don't think of them as my, I don't know, how is it called? My
superior
overlord or my, they're superior to me. I actually think I'm better than them. So it's like there's a different mindset. Like when I'm playing against this player, I believe I can beat him and I can do better than him, and I will acknowledge if he's better than me at something. Like let's say I'm like really bad at a specific champion, then it's so easy for me to acknowledge, oh, he's better than me at this, I just bond it, But if I think I'm, let's say, really good at Victor, and let's say Showmaker is really good at Victor, and maybe by like, let's say, a third person view, Showmaker's Victor is better than my Victor, but I don't give a shit because I think my Victor is better than his. I think I will beat him in lane if I play Victor, right? Like in theory, right? So in that sense, my mindset is perfectly set for the game, and I can play no matter what the matchup. I'll play my Victor. I will do good, That's it, and that's how my brain functions, and I think that's how brain function of every player who has had some kind of success, right? Or if you want to have success, that's how your brain has to function. Otherwise, you won't have success, right? I can tell you that much. Because when you're scared or you have no confidence or you respect your opponents too much, that's when the problem comes. I think that's also maybe one of the big reasons for the Western tops versus Eastern tops. Like, I don't know, like maybe the gap is just that big. Maybe it's also the narratives and the whole thing that's been built around, of the top players. Like, come on, our Western top player is really that bad. Like, just believe in yourself a little bit. Like, I know Zeus is good, but come on, like, you see him play World Finals. Like, this guy was running it every game. Like, come on, like, these players are not that good. They're like, he's about a 17-year-old kid, Like, come on, like, just believe in yourself. You can beat this 17-year-old. Okay, maybe he's not 17. I'm talking shit. I don't know how old
he's
he is, right?
still like barely over being a rookie.
But
yes.
I'm just trying to say how like
yes,
how players probably don't think. They
yes.
probably think differently. And not saying follow them, but you can see which players have confidence when you play international stage.
Yes. One thing I wanted to ask was, and this is an appropriate moment now, because obviously you don't work together anymore, even though Grabbz and Grabbz drafts became part of the successful G2 image and meme and way of deflecting things, how would you explain what Grabbz's role within G2 was? Because he was obviously there for all these championships and stuff. So how did he how did he coach the team? How was it different from other coaches you've had?
I mean, I think Grabbz and Duff were actually trying to make us improve. Like, they were actually making us improve about I remember some specific things about heralds, about communication. They were actually tracking our communication for objectives and stuff. So I think they had some good ways of trying to make us improve, trying to make us take scrims more seriously. I don't know what's ideal coach or what's not ideal coach. I think they were definitely doing good job for us. I think the most important is that he kind of Grabbz understood us as players. Like, he understood he have to give us the freedom, and he understood that how we win, what we are good at, kind of. So I think that he understood what we are good at as well, in a way. Like, he understood what we need to draft, like, how do I say it? He understood that, I don't know, for example, I need to get a strong pick, and the draft needs to be revolved around me having a strong pick. That's how when I was playing botlane, right? That's how it was, and that has worked like pretty well for us. I think definitely at times you can say there were like some that things backfire when you have like trust or give like trust, because like every player makes bad decisions and mistakes. And I remember this one, like I was like, and then we picked Jarvan, and I had Senna, and I just picked Kalista because I was like, I see we're playing Senna against Jarvan, and it was like a pretty important game. It was tiebreaker for first in the groups against Sunning, and then everyone just let me do it, and I'm like looking back at it, guys, how did you guys agree to this?
Sure.
Like, how did you guys agree to having Senna, Kalista botlane? I mean, okay, it's my bad. But how did you guys let me do it? Like what, like what, guys? Come on, just tell me this is troll. Like there's no way this is good. So nobody did it. Of course, we picked. We lost. We also disqualified TL. That was like I actually felt. I've never felt bad about something like my pick ban or something. But I literally felt bad about that because I didn't want TL to get out of groups.
Right.
Unironically, I actually wanted them to get out. I think it would be cool, And I just lost them chance to get out because I played Sera Kalista botlane. Can you think about it? And I actually genuinely felt bad. I was like, wow, I'm a piece of shit. What?
That's pretty good. You entered another team that you weren't even playing on.
Yes, exactly. I was that good at inting,
Exactly.
I was that good at inting. Wow,
Right.
but that was like the worst one for sure. I've never like grief draft that hard in my life like this for sure.
Another matchup I want to ask about is actually the other SKT matchup, the one from Worlds in Season 9. Because here's another one, right, where if people don't know the story on this one, Perkz, they might remember details from talk shows, but I can remember when you told me this, right? You told me basically you weren't supposed to win this series. Like, actually, the team in scrims was like doing really badly. If people remember, this was the series that was one of the weirdest series ever. It was the one where you guys just like let them take all the fucking dragons or whatever, didn't you? And then you just like rotated off the map. You remember what I'm talking about? Where you just cross map or something. And at the time, I remember asking, here's the thing, right? Fans now just go, oh, G2 had a genius read on the game and stuff. I asked all my friends who were the experts back then, and they were all like, dude, this is like, no one does this. Like, I don't even know how they figured out that could work. Give me some thoughts on this series, because this feels like another like movie fucking script series the way it played out.
I mean, our skins were horrible at the Worlds. We were just getting smashed by like everybody, honestly. We were like completely dunzo. Like I can say that much. Like we were like just dunzo as a team. Like burned out, and like we had some issues with drafts that we just couldn't figure out. Scrims were just really rough. But then when we go on stage, like it's fine, because we beat Damwon, which was like 6-0 in their group. Like it was 6-0 in their group, and we beat Damwon. And like honestly, that Worlds, like that was actually when I thought me and Mickey were playing super well. Like I thought, like hands down, I thought me and Mickey were the best bot in the world. Like, and that was like I didn't think that I am a MSI. I wasn't like I thought maybe Jekyll. No, I thought Jekyll was better than me. I wasn't sure if I was better than Teddy. Like I wasn't that confident, like because it was just my first tournament. But like after screaming against those world teams, after like playing solo queue and all that, like I was just for sure confident. Look, I'm the best AD carry in the world. Like I don't know how to say it without being delusional, But I was just sure. Okay, I'm the best AD carry in the world, and this just sounded so crazy to me. And like we're not losing, I refuse to lose, like kind of like that. And it was also like I thought Cops is the best mid in the world. Like I just sat down. I thought every player on my team is the best in the world, and started with me obviously because it had to start with me. If I don't think I'm the best, then how can I think anyone else is the best? And then it went with everybody else. And I was thinking, okay, maybe Wunder has a mental block against the Shy. I just hope we don't beat the Shy, and we're gonna beat everybody else. So when IG lost, we were like giga happy because we were aiming for the title. And yeah, I thought SKT was gonna be hard, but actually looking at it, like we were just so much better than them. Like that was like even the game we lost. Like I played Ezreal that game against Yasuo bot lane, and that game I solo lost it. I mean, solo lost it is like a hard word, but like I misplayed one skirmish pretty hard, and I died, and we lost Baron. So I will say I solo lost it because I was in a very good position to carry the game. Like I was super strong that game. My teammates were behind. I was super strong. I could have definitely carried it. I didn't, so I felt like kind of bad. But then I just thought, okay, we're just a much better team. There is just no way we lose. Like that series was actually, like that. Yeah, I think it's just that.
When you
that's
came
simple.
to the final, right, the tough thing about the final, I always think this is actually the thing about sports and esports that's so rough, is fans never think this way. I notice fans are really good the second a match ends at just accepting, like, that's all that was ever going to happen. That was always going to be that result. It could never be. They just think like that. They think it's like a movie, dude. And, you know, like what the person did meant that had to happen. What they don't realize, obviously, is like probability exists. Like, you know, if you wake up a different day, it's a different game. If game one goes differently, there's, you know, there's so many factors. So the question I have is this. Obviously, you've never been back to Worlds final because it's really rare people make Worlds finals. You must think back on that one and think of some of the things you could have done differently or what we should have done to win, right?
Like if let's say we made it to semi-finals 2019 and we made it to finals 2020, I can guarantee you 100% we would beat that final. So I can say confidently, I think I would ever beat Damwon. Like that Damwon 2020, I think we would never beat. We were sure weakening them. We could play against them 10 times. We would probably lose like 9 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10. Against IG, we'll probably lose like 7 out of 10, you know. But against FPX, just, you know, throw us back in the time, give it time machine, give us different prep for that final. Give us different prep, different thoughts, and I can tell you, we can beat FPX like I would say 6 out of 10 times. Like I'm sure that final is all about prep and all about our mental. Like our mental was so done. Instead of like doing some team activities and bonding, we were actually screaming academy teams for the final week. Like that was the most useless thing ever. Like that was like really useless, honestly. Like we didn't get anything useful. We were just tilting each other as well. We were super scared of the Nautilus mid. We didn't have trust in our own picks. Like we were just scared of what. Like we just got so much inside the bubble of our own. The way we operate the whole year was like, oh, let's think what enemy does and let's try to counter them. And that's how we played the whole year. That's how we functioned the whole year. So there was just somebody, like let's say, like I take time machine and I go back to that room in 2019 and I enter the room and I tell the team, look guys, don't overthink things. Just go to your gameslegends.gg and check what you played the most this tournament and play that.
Just go with comfort, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Just play comfort. Exactly. We didn't play comfort. We went into like
the weirdest draft ever.
We tried to be like 500 IQ. Yes. We went into like the whole like. We tried to like outmind them, and we just outplayed ourselves completely. Like we had like first time Chistana mid, first time Pac mid, first time Veigar mid. Sounds like I'm flaming cups here only, but
those do sound like troll picks, like for Worlds finals.
Yeah, it's also like I was scared of playing Kai'Sa because they play like Varus Tam Kench against somebody else and they like really smurf the game. And then I was like 4-0 with Kai'Sa. I was 6-0 with Zaya, you know. Just I should be saying, just pick me Kai'Sa. I don't care if they go Varus Tam Kench. I will go 26 down. I will still be useful. But instead I was playing some useless shit and my mid was playing Pyke and I don't know, we were puffing bot when we should puff top. Like all these things, like we were just getting like so in our own bubble that like we just completely exploded. But like I don't know if we just all went to like 1 day of spa somewhere for the whole day. Like no cap, by the way. If we just went to we were in Paris, we could go to Disneyland. We could go to Disneyland for 1 day. I'm not joking. We would win the World Finals. Just put me there on stage again. Give me time machine. We would win the World Finals. I'm pretty sure. Like I don't think we were bad. I don't think we were worse in an FPX. I don't think so. And if you look how the game went and how with that draft. We almost won that game. That game one, that was like 45-minute game. Then you can't go and tell me, oh no, FPX was way better than you. No, sure maybe there's gonna be fans who gonna come and flame me, but sure. I mean I don't give a shit, right? Like it's like I'm just saying my opinion. Like I think you put us out there again, give us one guy who is outside of a team bubble, like somebody who is even player from a different team. You can come to our room, check our drafts, and ask us, guys, what in the world are you guys doing? You know, like what are you guys even talking about? You know, Wunder and Caps are playing 1v1 Nautilus versus Olaf in mid lane, like 2 days before World Finals. Like, do you know what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what is this? You know?
I know.
Like, just like step out of your bubble, guys. Let's like all, you know, let's not overthink things. But yeah, that was a learning curve. I can't say we'll be down one. I don't think we would. I think they were better than us. Probably lose to them all the time, but it's fine.
Because you get the angle I'm saying there. The problem is, like, this is again where people who are young or people who are just casual fans won't understand, like, the competitor's mindset. Like, I've heard stories in sports where similar things happen. Like, you know, someone was in, like, the NBA finals, and when they lose, they're like, oh, it's okay, I'll get him next time. But maybe you never make the finals again. Maybe that's just the way your career goes. Like, it's got to be brutal to think, like, there's actually a world where I could have been the world champion in League of Legends. That's just insane to even think about.
It's true, yeah. It actually is true. I mean, I didn't think about it too much, but I'm actually glad I got to vent about it because I feel like this has been in my system for so long.
Okay.
Like, this has been in my system for so long. And I'm glad I got to vent about it. Now it's on the internet. Now I let it out. Like, here you go, guys. Feast on my pain, you know. Go.
There you go. Right. What about this then? So people will know. I've got to rewind this part of the question, right? Because here's what's mad. You know, when after this year we heard this rumor, it started as a rumor in the offseason. I remember it was not initially announced. The rumor was like, oh, you're not going to believe this, but they're going to do like a role swap between Caps and Perkz. And everyone, the whole offseason was going, they're just trolling. There's no way they really, there's no way. This is like mind games. But what's funny is I actually remember that was what I actually thought maybe you were going to do sometimes when you first brought him to the team. I actually thought, well, if you're playing like bot, maybe sometimes you'll like flex picks or something, like, or maybe you'll like swap over. Maybe he'll play like an Ezreal game or something. You'll play like fucking Syndra mid or something. Like when you actually made this move, right? It was implied at the time that you were just bored of playing ADC, and then they sold it like, oh, he wanted to play ADC. Give me the thoughts now. Now, look, it's safe to tell us the truth now. What happened in this offseason?
It was actually just like that, honestly. Like,
really?
I actually, yeah, like unironically, like I was actually like not enjoying bot lane. I don't know why exactly. I think it was like just the amount of agency you have as AD carry is like I thought AD carry was not a useless role, don't get me wrong, but it was just the agency part that was like really bothering me, you know? It was really bothering my head. I don't know. I can't explain. Like I was.
Let me ask you something, because I've heard from a lot of ADC players. Basically, the reason why they think the role sucks, like you say, it can be a really strong role if you get your items, you get to the team fight, and you get through. They always tell me the worst feeling ever though is the game where it's like it could be mid or top. Someone's just hit it so much. It's like you feel like I never even had a chance to play the game. Like I didn't get my. You know what I mean? Like whereas if you're mid, you can go. Caps has done this. You can go 3 kills down and still win the whole game if you're epic, right?
There is things like that, but it's a lot about like also like you have to be so synergized with your support and also your jungler kind of, and like if your support is not feeling it, not I think Mickey, just saying in general, then it can be hard for you to play the game. Your picks are like the same the whole time. You play like 2 champs in a given meta. I actually learned to like. I grew to like be fine doing it, you know, but like by 2020, that's why I was actually like, okay, I was fine staying, you know, in theory as well, but I honestly was good that I moved. But anyways, like back to the point of AD carry is like you're just everyone else's like dog, not dog, a baby. You're actually a baby. Actually, like
there you go. That's the analogy. Yeah,
you're actually a baby. Like I remember. That was actually Caps analogy. Like he would say, "Oh yeah, you go from being a toddler to like being like a super strong, you know, 40 years old guy."
Okay.
Blah blah. So yeah, like you're just a baby, and you have to whine for resources. You have to whine for help. You have to get all of these things, you know, in order to be strong. And I was actually good at doing that. Like, not gonna lie, I think I was a really good bot laner. I think maybe I was a super annoying person to work with while I was a bot laner. Because I gotten some feedback that when I was a mid laner, I was like super nice to work with, and I was an AD carry, I was maybe not super nice to work with. So I think there's a lot of reasons why a lot of teams have problems with AD carries, and I think it's not also anything like. I actually think it's the role, by the way. Like no joke, it's like there's very few AD carries that are like fine, like. You know, just losing, you know, but like I don't know, I couldn't lose lane, I couldn't be weak side, like I couldn't be all these things. So it was just very hard for me. Like as a player, I felt like maybe again egoistic. Right? I felt like okay, if I'm playing bot lane and they're not playing around me, then like my strength is winning lane. You know, my strength is like leading the game when I'm ahead, and I think I do this super well. So why don't we do it? You know, like kind of like that. And I was just also tired of like. Forcing my team to do that. I was tired of like being, I guess, unhappy. And it was actually like honestly, it was like Rasmus who came And he said like this actually like a wholesome anime moment, but he was like, what if we just try to swap for a split, like kind of like that. And then I was like, sure, let's just do it, because like you can also get perspective. He can get perspective on how is it to play the carry. I can get perspective on the things he's done in mid lane, what I can do, and all things like that. And then of course our teammates were just fine with it. They were like, okay, whatever the fuck this guy's gonna do, it's let him do it. It's fine. Like mostly just started between me and Rasmus, and then it just went to like the news went to the others as well. Like we just basically like asked them like, oh, are you guys fine if we swap roles? And they're like, yeah, sure, just go do it, But it wasn't really like a team decision. It was just like the two of us, like kind of. And then I mean, I knew like already like a few weeks into the split, I knew that they're for sure playing AD carry the next split. But I will say he has impressed me so much in spring playoffs. Like most people honestly don't even remember Cubs play AD carry, which is funny, which is actually crazy. But unironically,
or they only remember this story about the finals and they think he was amazing. They don't remember, like you said, the first weeks were a bit dodgy, dude.
Dude, but Cubs in playoffs, like I think Cubs in playoffs was the best player I've ever seen. Like I'm not joking. Like this maybe sounds troll to you guys, or like to anyone who's gonna be hearing this. But AD carry Cubs in playoffs was like the best player I've ever seen. Like he was calling everything. He was shot calling everything. He was like shot calling, tracking their words. He was shot calling. I remember he played against Mad Lions. We played Vayne, Yumi bot, and we had Lee Sin jungle, and they had something really strong. And basically we ganked bot level 2 or level 3, like they had no wards, and we got double kill with Vayne. I knew the game was over. Like Cubs was like shot calling every game. He was leading the game super well. Okay, he was forcing us a little bit to play like only enchanters, mostly enchanters. Like he had his style. But he had something he was comfortable with, because he wasn't comfortable in playing like, I don't know, I'm gonna say like Varus versus Kalista matchup and like tank versus tank support, all the standard stuff. But he was creative, and he found his way to be really useful. And the craziest thing is like he was calling so much in those disadvantaged positions. And I mean, honestly, like I was really impressed. Like I'm not gonna lie, I didn't feel like I had to do anything. Sure, I was playing really well at playoffs, but I didn't feel like I had to do anything. The games were like served on a platter. Like the games were served on a platter, and my AD carry was Cups, But obviously, he's been running it the whole regular season, and I knew he wasn't actually like, how do I say, he wasn't fit to play the role super well. So we just moved back. But I don't know. He impressed me so hard, because I didn't have too high hopes. That was the one split. I didn't have too high hopes. I didn't have to have some hopes.
Thing is, though, this split also did show as well and remind people, like, Perkz is a fucking good mid laner too. Like, you were a mega in this split. As you said, like, mate, in the playoffs, I remember in the finals, you played, like, both sides of the matchup against Nemesis. Like, this was a pretty good split from you. Like, one, what do you think of the split overall? And two, you didn't really want to have to switch back, right? I'm sure you wished you could have stayed mid.
I mean, no, I actually... Okay, yeah, I thought I had the best split. The best split thus far in my career, I guess. Like regular season and everything. Like, thought I played really well. Like, I thought in general I had like maybe one bad game in the whole split, or 2 games, and I thought I was playing super well. And like I was a little bit annoyed that like we couldn't play the normal support style, moving mid and all of that. Like, I will have to say I was a little bit annoyed, but it's fine because I accepted what is the best way to win the game. And I understand now why all that happened, right? But I wanted to go back to AD carry. Like, as I mentioned, I knew that's the best chance for us to like, to how is it called, to win Worlds, like to have the chance of winning Worlds. And it was also like it was good to I think it was good for the team to get perspective on how we were as players as well, like both me and Rasmus, and also like playing again with Miki. Like we got some perspective, right? So I think it was good for the whole team. Also, of course, I forgot to mention for the whole. I'll have to give some context. I think a league team has to do at least one change every year. And I think that's been proven historically now that every team changes at least one player every year, sometimes even more, because the seasons are like so long and you're with players like 10 hours every day, and you need change, and you need new perspective, and you need fresh minds, and you just need a change in environment. And how we like fixed that problem, we just swapped, like we had a swap. Instead of changing players, we swapped, we got different perspectives. We swapped again, so we were like fresh the whole time. We had like a honeymoon phase, you could say, because something was different the whole time. And a lot of teams, for example, let's say EDG won Worlds, they stayed together for next year. They're much weaker. They were much weaker this year. They weren't like that strong of a contender, They weren't the favorites in teams' eyes. Why? Because they've already won Worlds, They've already like done that. They need to push each other. They need some new opinions, some new confrontations, some new problems. They need something different. Otherwise, things are too stale. And we fixed the problem by swapping, which is honestly the most beneficial thing. Like after that Worlds run, we needed a change, not because we made it fun, but because our scrims were like so horrible. And I can tell you, our scrims in season 10 Worlds were super good. I mean, super good for a Western team. Like we had a positive win rate against Asian teams. That's like super good, Like we weren't like 5-0 in them, but we had positive win rate against Asian teams. And we didn't burn out. We didn't hate each other. Only one time, like in the whole boot camp, like I actually just left the room because I was like too tilted. So it was in general pretty good. It was a pretty good run, I would say. It's lucky that we met Damon so early. But yeah, I'm sure we would be in World Finals if we played another side of the bracket. I can say that much, So yeah, that's kind of the whole thing on that roll up and why it worked out, why it's good, and yeah.
Right, I obviously want to ask some questions about now the infamous off-season and what happened and all this jazz. So the first thing I would ask you is this. I don't want to go into like every detail, but let's get like your side of the story. So first things first I would ask is this, right? I obviously heard, I was talking to you at the same time. I actually was talking to Jack, Carlos, and Perkz. So by the way, everyone who goes, you just make sure I had all the sauce, you cunts. You had nothing compared to me. I had the whole thing. But anyway, that was just an ego moment, Thorin. I'll pull myself out. I'm just the interviewer now. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. Right. So anyway, the point was I did really know all this stuff. And one thing people won't know is this, right? At the time, I know he didn't want this publicized for some weird reason, but I heard from Carlos already in this offseason, dude, that apparently when Caps joined G2 from Fnatic, that he'd even told Caps' dad, like, I know because he's joined, because apparently this was a concern they had. The concern was, well, if we join, you already have Perkz. What if he wants to play mid again? And supposedly Carlos has made like a promise to Caps' dad, like,
I agree.
I promise that'll never happen. Yeah, he said basically unless they both agree, like we won't ever do that. Like we won't like kick Caps and just take Perkz again. So the problem with this was when I heard this off-season scenario that you don't want to play ADC and it means you would have to leave, right? There was never actually a world where you could have been mid, right?
But I mean. I never, okay, how do I say it? I would never wanted to stay in G2. Sorry, no, I did, but I didn't. Let me try to make this as clear as possible. So I wanted to leave also because I actually wanted to see my value for I was never a free agent. I'm under contract jail the whole life. I felt like a slave in a way, Okay, I was in a good position. I'm not going to say anything that I wasn't, but I wanted to be able to explore my options because I was being told, like everybody else in the whole team was like, okay, whenever you want to leave, you can just leave. Like we will sell you, like it won't be a problem. There won't be any issues, And then, by the way, okay, I cleared things up with Carlos, but there was never, ever, I never said this publicly because I see a bit arguing about it, but I'll say it now. There was never anything mentioned against me joining Fnatic. Okay, maybe it was naive of me, right? And it was like super naive of me, but yeah, I wanted to join Fnatic. Obviously, I wanted to join Fnatic because I think it would be super hype if now I'm on Fnatic and then Caps is on G2.
It's the anime move, exactly.
It's the anime move. It's the anime move, yeah. Yes. And it will be super hype, and I think it will be super good for LEC. It will be super good for LEC. We will have two strong teams, two Giga strong teams. It will be super interesting. But yeah, okay, I didn't, right? I wanted to stay after that because I found out that, okay, I'm going to get jailed for sure. And then I talked to the team. I told the team I wanted to explore options. They were like, okay, I understand. Then they were like hyping me up kind of for like, oh, the last dance, like let's do one more year, and then we split up, blah, blah. and I was like, okay, thinking about it. Then I came home thinking about it. Okay, I kind of want to do it now because yeah, okay, I understand now looking back at it. Like I would have probably like kicked myself out as well because like you want to go somewhere, you can't. Okay, now you want to stay, no, you can't. You know what I mean, right? So I wanted to stay. I obviously couldn't stay anymore, and then I had to search for a new home. And then I was in a bit of a pickle, I will say, because some things were being a little bit blocked or like delayed to make sure I don't have a good team in time, so I have to go to NA. Kind of like that. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I wasn't the happiest about it, but I wanted to go C9 because it's Venomity. Like, and that's kind of it. I had offers from like every single LCS team as well, but I wanted to go C9 from the beginning. It was the one team I wanted to join. And I did, and I think the year was actually quite successful as well. Like, unironically, won Spring. Okay, I went to MSI, got third, got out of groups. Like I went 2-1 against EU this year. Like I don't know, it was a fine year. Like I compared to the previous 2 years, it was not as great. But compared to this last Vitality year, it was like night and day. It was a very successful year in C9 now when you look at it. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to explore market as well. That was a big reason, right? Like I wanted to do it. I wanted to see it. I didn't want to feel like how do I say, like a slave, in a way. I thought I earned my right to do so. Like after doing so many things for the org, after poaching so many players, working 20 hours a day, changing roles, playing millions of hours of this game, like earning so many titles. I was like, just I want to see what's up for me, what else is there for me. And I can say, like, ever since I've like left G2, I have how do I say it, I have flowered as a person. Like I am so happy that happened, because I don't think I would ever be like the man I am now if that thing didn't happen. And the whole I was devastated when I heard I was getting removed from the team. Like I was like, now you can't be anymore, and I'm like, what? I am this team. Like what are you saying? I can't, like you guys would have nothing without me. That's how I felt, Like,
no, this is actually something I want to ask about, dude, because even though, like I say, if you know the whole like story with like Carlos and Caps' dad, and then also at the time, obviously every fan's going to go, but how could you cut Caps? Like Caps is the best, and he probably was the best. But I agree with your perspective. I can totally see it, because I thought the same thing. It's like, even if all of that's true, if I was you, I would be like, Carlos, bro, like I was G2, like I was the only one here the whole time.
Okay, but
give me what I want.
I would never. No, that's the where you like maybe misunderstand me. Like I would never ask them to remove Caps. Like I would never do that.
Okay.
I couldn't. No, I couldn't like physically do that. Like mentally, right? Because like I have a lot of respect for everyone on the team and all the players. So that's why I wanted to leave. And then when I didn't want to leave, I wanted to stay as AD carry.
Right.
Like, I wanted to stay as AD carry because I mentally accepted. Because at Worlds, like I was actually fine playing AD carry. Like I kind of adjusted to the role. I was like,
sure,
I'm fine at having agency. I'm just pick me Ashe or Jhin every game. I was doing my job. I was doing well. I beat Ruler in best of 5 with AD carry. Like not bad. Like right. Like I can't be that bad, right? So yeah, I was fine. But then I understand as well the whole G2 perspective, and like why. Like it makes sense because let's say, oh, I want to join a different team, or I can't, or now you want to stay. But you don't want to play bot lane, so what if in the middle of next year you say you don't want to play bot lane anymore?
True.
What do we do then? Like I understand all that. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm saying everything played out as good as it could for both sides. Both G2 and me kind of got what we wanted. I got to explore options. I got a different continent, different experience. I'm just sharing how I felt in the moment. How it was. I'm making it a little bit colorful as well.
Yeah, sure.
But it was devastating. It was hard. Like at that time, right? Because also in a way, I guess I define myself as what G2 was defined. Because I like a little bit like Carlos. I associate myself a lot with G2, and I think it's really good that I got to snap out of it. Because now I can appreciate myself for who I am and not what trophies and titles I have had in G2 and all the success we had and blah blah, right? So now,
Yes.
I'm happy it happened. I'm grateful for my time there. All good, all great.
Let me segue this, because actually along these lines,
I will just say that thing was poorly handled by both sides. We had to talk like literally one day when I came after Worlds. Everyone was emotional. Everyone was like not sure. Like it was not smart. I will say to everyone who's ever watching this, don't make anything rush. Like wait at least a week, think about it. Like I came with that ultimatum as well in a way. I came and told them, yo, I want to go to this team. Like I want to leave. Like one day after Worlds. So it was also really bad by me and all that. But I'm saying it played out really well for everybody. I'm happy. They're happy. Great.
Because the thing I wanted to ask, this perfectly segues in, is even though because of this, all the people, it was mainly people on Reddit, let's be real, but all the people who hate Carlos, spoiler Fnatic fans, but you get the joke, right? All the people who hate Carlos, this is the main thing they always go back to, isn't it? Is this moment and the cryptic tweets and stuff. So what I wanted to ask was this: if people saw recently, when I'm on about years and years ago, not the tweets with the Carlos thing recently, but if people did see the recent thing where Carlos got fucking like cancelled out of esports or whatever, I saw you actually were very brave to make like a public statement and sort of say like, this is fucked up. And it showed to me that outside of whatever drama happened to there, you do have like a connection still, right?
I mean, it's a little bit also like kind of like it's awkward to talk about it on public because like I feel like it's awkward to talk about like connections you have with people like in interviews in general. But like I feel like he's done a lot of good things for me, and he's put so much trust in me more than like anybody else. Honestly, like probably in this world, right? Like that from when I was 16, just like, think about it from perspective. Like, so he put so much trust in me, and I had a lot of, I guess, power. Yeah, let's say power.
Yeah. From
my young age, and it was going really well for both of us. And I mean, honestly, like if you think about it right now, like I said, I want Svenemiti, like let's get them. Like, okay, we tried a lot of things, but like. Getting two players, like let's think about it. This who was in the finals this year? It was G2 and Rogue, right? G2 and Fnatic. I don't care. Just think, G2 beats Rogue in finals, and then they get Comp and Trimby the next split playing under them. Like that would never happen. You know how crazy that is?
That's
like
ridiculous.
People don't even understand like how crazy that is. Like that is surreal. Like that happened. So like all those things like that. The new team. Then Miro also up and all those things, like a lot of things were really served for me, like I said something that happened. And I think that was also like making me a little bit spoiled and maybe too centered on what's going on in G2. But yeah, somebody's put a lot of trust in me, somebody has given me the trust and the power to make decisions. And, like I think it was a mutual how is it called? Beneficial. Like it was a mutual. It was a mutual.
It was beneficial benefit for both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. So as much as I've built G2, like Carlos also helped me build G2. Like what I mean, right? Or like as much as Carlos built G2, I also helped Carlos build G2 because without our league success, nothing would happen in the whole org ever, because they would have zero sponsors, zero investors, zero money, nothing, like every other team was sucking, every team was shit. Like I know a lot of insights, so like I understand it was mutual benefits, and I'm glad it happened, and it's crazy story, and all that. Like sure, it didn't have like the best ending chapter of that story, but like it happens, like it was a situation that both were unfamiliar with. I think the team needed a change anyway. Honestly, I don't think if I stayed on the team would be great next year. Maybe we change the coaching stuff because again, you need a change, right? You need to change something every year, right? So probably if I didn't go, somebody else would have to go. That's how it works. But yeah, all that, like that's kind of to conclude that, yeah.
Right, even though I understand that you wanted to go to Fnatic, or there was even the rumor of making like a super team in Europe and all that jazz, right? even though like you were sort of pushed, like I know the story, like to get you out of the region and go elsewhere, and also spoiler, Cloud9 could pay a lot of fucking money as well, right? That's the angle I did want to ask about. Look, I'm not someone who thinks like materialism's the way to live life and it's just about money and stuff. But if I just say it this way, Perkz, right? You are just a guy who was just a video game player from fucking Croatia. Like that doesn't happen that you become a millionaire and move to America. Like maybe if you're like a basketball star, you know, like maybe if you're in the NBA, that could like that in itself's like a movie fucking chapter. That must have been pretty cool in itself to even just tell your family, like, look at this fucking contract I just signed.
Yeah, it was. I mean, honestly, like, I don't even know if I've told anybody, like, the money I got. I guess you could see it, like, kind of online or, like, what was posted, right? But, like, in a way, it's kind of like taboo topic, right? Always, like, financials. Like, I in a way, it felt, I didn't feel like I should brag about it, you know? Like, oh, look, I'm getting so much money. Like, it was more like, to me, the money, like it's how do I say it? It's easy to say when you have money, right? Again, I acknowledge this. Like I'm really happy. I'm living a comfortable life. I'm grateful for that. Super grateful. Trying to help everybody else around me as much as I can. I don't need anything too much, you know. And I'm grateful for that I am this way as well. But to me, what it presented the money was like how much how much people in the esports value me for what I do. So they must have heard things about my teammates, from the staff, from the CEO. I don't know, like from the stories, from the success. Right? It's like my contract is kind of the sign of how much a team values me. Right? So that itself felt really good. Right? The appreciation, kind of like, oh, look, you've done all these things in the last 6-7 years.
Yes.
Oh, now you have your contract, right? Because you are who you've become in a way, right? I am who I've become because of the things I've seen, I've done, and I've experienced. So that's kind of what the feeling, like what it feels really good about it, you know? Like I know I'm there, and it's also a reminder that I have to do my absolute best every single day because somebody is paying a lot of money to invest into me. So if I'm like, I don't know, not practicing or not taking my scrim seriously or not trying to improve myself and the rest of my team, then I just feel like somebody who is like scamming, you know, and that's not my mentality or not how I am. So that's kind of about the financial things. And yes, of course, it felt really good. Yeah, of course it did. You know, I'm not going to say no. And yes, if right now I could join SKT and earn 3 times money less, of course I would not go, you know, like it's just purely logical, but nobody else in the world would go, you know, because that's just how life is, right? And I am able to secure much more for my future and for the future of my family and everybody else around me. So I don't have like any dreams of, like, how to say, I don't have the ambition of becoming a billionaire or whatever, or I don't know, like get more and more and more and more. I'm just grateful that I'm able to earn what I earn by what you mentioned, somebody who I had to literally pick up like 20 cents on the ground so I can buy myself like a lollipop at a kiosk, you know, like it's like a crazy change in a matter of years, right? And it feels even better that it's like something that I guess I've gotten to build up, you know. Yeah, so that's like kind of that from the financial side.
Since in the interview we've covered a lot, and we're obviously going to wrap up soon. What I'll do is this: we'll leave the vitality stuff to a couple of years from now. We'll do another one, not least because it's always a bit awkward to talk about current teammates. So I'll just ask a couple of questions about the Cloud9 thing. We'll wrap it up. So one question I have about the Cloud9 angle is, one thing coming in that I actually was a little bit underwhelmed with in your time in Cloud9 is famously, I mean, it sounds like a joke, but the joke is in your teams, the jungler always wins the MVP, doesn't he? Like in every Perkz team, it's Trick, for Yankos, it doesn't matter who, the jungler wins the MVP. So everyone thought, because of how well Niski and blaber worked in the previous year, like, oh, it's going to be amazing. Like these two will have the greatest synergy ever. And I have to say, dude, maybe it's just from the outside, maybe I'm wrong. It looked like you had pretty bad synergy. So give me your thoughts on this. Were you and blaber, was it a good combo, do you think? How did it work?
Wait, but didn't blaber win the MVP?
I think he also won it as well. But my question is, what the actual synergy though? I always felt like you two were sort of not on the same page, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I think blaber won the MVP as well, actually. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I'm not sure actually. Like I think we were good actually. Like I actually think we were good together. Maybe maybe uh maybe we didn't always align the best in the game. I think with Bobby it was like I mean I had a lot of fun playing with him actually. Like I think I was inconsistent in my ways, and maybe I wasn't getting the help I needed from him. And also he was a bit inconsistent in his ways of like getting caught out in mid game and stuff like that. So we had different issues that I guess maybe we couldn't like complement each other maybe as well as we did with like previous teammates, I guess. But I wouldn't go and say we were like bad, you know. Like I would say we like actually the the week 2 of group stages we like turbo smurfed, you know, like
Yeah, true.
me and blaber were playing like super well. So I think we were capable of having really good games. Maybe we weren't like always on the same page of what they want to play and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say it was because of anything specific, like we didn't get along or something like that, even though I did read that summer, which was funny. Like I actually get along with him super well. We are still in contact actually.
Right.
And I enjoyed playing with him. So yeah.
One thing I would ask is this then, in the same way as I asked for a crap story, right? If everyone knows, the way you know if people actually have connections in Europe or if they've ever been on a European team in LEC is the fucking Hillesang stories are notorious. Like every lineup this guy's in, there's people who have the stories about the scrims where, you know, he dies like 10 times or he just runs it down. Also, there's ones obviously he wins in epic fashion. So like, are there similar blaber stories? Does he have other these? He also could be a psycho in scrims as well.
No, I mean, I will say like blaber was like, I'm not sure how I was if somebody like from C9 goes and takes over the year. They'll probably say I was inconsistent. But blaber was like really trolling scrims sometimes. But I guess I was too, and maybe everyone else was as well, right? But he would have like these games and he would just like 1v9 completely, like go 10-0, and next game he would just die like really randomly, and it would just be like. He wouldn't even know why he died, you know. He was like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking actually. Like it was just like that, you know. But every player has his own thing, and I don't think that makes him like bad. I think he's actually a great player, and he's capable of like really, really putting a team on the back. But yeah, like I mean, I don't know if he's like ever like ran it down super hard. He must have for sure, like at some times. But yeah, I think like more or less, most players do it. Some players just do it to more extreme, right? Like so you see it a bit more. Like maybe his ints were like a bit crazier than like my ints, but maybe I was more consistently inting. You know, you never really know, right? What how to put it like that? Yeah.
One of the things I want to ask about is like, look, we won't go into super deep on the Cloud9 year, but one question I do have that covers the whole year actually is even though people remember, I mean, you described it earlier, if you actually look at it and you go, wait, I want to split semis of, I didn't make semis of that, whatever. We went to MSI, that's something, and then went to Worlds, made top 8. That actually sounds pretty good for a lot of people. That would be like the best year of their career. So, like, when you look back, one thing I want to ask about is this. This will be a weird way to phrase it, but I think it's the right question, which is, yes, obviously that team had a lot of inconsistency. I mean, even in NA, you could lose games that were like, what the fuck? But all I'll say is this. Even at MSI, where you guys didn't make the playoffs, you still had the upsets over like top Asian teams. Then you went to Worlds. That group, by the way, on paper, for your team, is the key detail, not for like the other. For your team, that is the ultimate group of death. Like, you're never supposed to get out that group ever. So like, you made it out that one. I actually think that team, in a weird way, could be clutch, if you know what I mean.
I mean, we had positive winners against China. We had equal. We were 50-50. We had positive win against China, positive win against Europe, and we were losing to Korea. Like we lost a few more games to Damwon. We were like, I don't know, 1-3 or something like that. But so yeah, like we didn't have such a bad record, right? Like we weren't like that boosted, you know. Yeah, we could drop games to like how is it called, wildcard teams as well. Sure,
yes, like the Australians or whatever the fuck. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was the charm of our team, right? There was this one day, like we beat RNG and then we play against OC, and then Vulcan says, "This is the famous last words, guys. Let's not waste our breath on." What was even the name? I don't know. I don't even know.
It was like it was Pentanet or something.
Maybe Peace.
Oh, right.
Let's not waste our breath on Peace. Like we don't have to waste our breath on Peace. And then, little did he know, we had to waste our breath on pieces. So ever since then, we were like, guys, let's waste every single breath on every single
Right.
team, so we don't lose to them. You know, that's like the funny anecdote.
By the way I thought I would ask it like this, because by the way, I'll tell you right now, right after that exact group stage escape where you guys got to the playoffs, and yeah, look, obviously you're never going to win Worlds, let's be real, right? I'll tell you right now, because Jack's someone I've talked, he basically just straight up told me, even just before the playoffs, like, that's why I signed Perkz. Like, you were right. We should have done this move. It was worth, essentially, in his mind, it was worth doing just for that, like, fucking epic run. Because essentially, it was like the idea of, like, at least feeling like you have a chance to do something special. So what I would ask you is this is the way I would phrase it, right? There's a player in the NFL, a quarterback that I'm a big fan of called Aaron Rodgers, right? And he's a really skilled player. He's like one that's got like amazing stats in his career. And one year, like 3 years ago or something, he had what for him was just like what they called like a down year. Like, let's say he got like way less touchdowns than he normally would. He didn't look as epic, right? And his line that he had though, Perkz, was a fucking banger. And I think it's a perfect question for you. He just said it like this though, and it sounded so swagged, because he goes, yeah, the thing about me is a down year for me would be a career year for most other players. And when you realize that, you're like, oh shit, that's like a mic drop, you know. That's kind of true for you. Like you just said it earlier. This year, when you didn't win any titles, that's weird for you. Every other year, you always win a title. You're at Worlds. Like, I wanted to know, do you ever, when you're in the moment of all the success, do you take it for granted? Like if every Worlds you do just make playoffs, and every year you do just win title, does it become like it just seems normal?
I did take it for granted. It does. Like I can tell you, it becomes awkward if you don't like. I remember, like, especially because it was like the Corona splits 2020. Like, it was like when I won the split, I didn't feel anything. Like, I felt absolutely nothing. Like, it was just like I remember I had to fake my smile for the camera. That's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? Because it's like it just I expect this is out like it's like in a way you could say that I was bored of winning. Like, in a way you could say it, right? I mean, I'm not saying that because I was bored of winning, I decided to go lose. You know, like people can always take like things really. But at the time, that we were winning a lot in G2. I myself felt like, wow, this like this is like a little bit easy. Like, honestly, like it would be fun to lose a split. So like, and now when I lost like 2 splits, I didn't even make playoffs. I'm like, you know, like I gotta do something this year. Like this year, like I have to give it my best, you know, because I have to win something this year. Like I can't just go 2 years in a row without winning. So that's kind of the mindset, and definitely now losing makes me feel winning. Sorry, it makes me feel like I like winning much more than I did. Because I feel like it would be great to win something now, you know, like. And at the time, definitely take it for granted. Definitely, you know, like even going to C9, like I actually just thought we should win, you know. And then like going to C9, like I won 5 splits in a row, you know. Like I've never won 5 splits in a row before. So like winning 5 splits, like at that point, I actually thought summer was a given as well. I was like, okay, now we won. Summer is ours as well. And I think summer, actually, in summer we lost because of me. Like I think we lost because of my inability to accept the reality that we are not like we're never gonna be as good as I was in G2, or like we were in G2, you know, like the team we had in G2. Like it was so hard to do some of the things that I wanted us to understand to do, like, and yeah, I remember in the series against 100 Thieves, we just lost the series only because of me. Like I'll take the whole responsibility for that. Like we should have beaten those 100 Thieves. Like 100 Thieves should have never won an LCS title ever. No offense to all 100 Thieves fans. We saw 100 Thieves at Worlds of the year. Like, come on. Like, I mean, I'm just actually. This is really cocky. I'm sorry, guys, but like, I truly think so. I truly think that we should have won the summer split as well, right? And I think we were better than them. And I think that it was like my fault and my like stubbornness that lost us that series. And then after that we were like whatever, you know, like at this we're just done, you know.
At the end of this interview, do you have any final words or someone you want to say hello to or thank?
I mean, I don't know like who is gonna watch this interview, but I know there is sometimes people who like write from they're like they've been watching for like longer time. following esports for a longer time, and I'm really grateful for the support I've gotten since the get-go, basically, and the people who have followed me for many years, because it's really easy to like, how do I say, cheer for the team that wins, or for the player that's winning, or the player that's making, you know, clutch games and those things. And it's really easy to like not cheer and hate somebody who is like not actually making even playoffs. So yeah, I'm hopefully gonna be able to repay that sort of how is it called, loyal fandom and supportive messages and the cheers I get, because in the end, right, like it's said as a meme, or not as a meme, but as something that's like being said a lot, but like in the end I am able to do what I am because of so many people watching, right? Like I'm able to do because millions of people unironically over the world are like interested to see us compete, and that's like a crazy privilege. Like I'm just playing a video game. Like imagine, like when I was like 4 years old, you know, I was playing like the Lion King game. I don't even know how it was, and like now I get to play video games, and people are actually interested in that, and they're like watching me compete. So obviously, I want to do good because it's like the eyes are on you, right? So yeah, I want to keep competing for as long as I can. Like I was thinking every off season, you know, you bet an eye on retirement, like, or I think about it, you know. But then, like 3 years ago, I was already thinking about it, you know. I'm like, wow, how much longer can I go? But now, especially actually after getting married, which is great. Like I'm super grateful for that as well. Like I feel like I can have so many years more, you know, because I have something else like I'm working for, I'm playing for, I'm competing for. It's not about just me anymore and my personal ego, or how is it called, fulfilling my some kind of, I don't know, needs, wants. Like it's more about, oh, I'm doing this for the future as well, you know. I'm doing this for my future family, for my family. I'm doing this for everybody else that supported me and giving me the chance to do my career. And yeah, I'm grateful that I get to share all of this. And maybe sometimes in like 20 years, I get to watch this interview, and I get to be like, wow, look at this little brat. He was so stupid, so cocky. But yeah, thank you guys.
Hvala puno.
Nema na čemu.
Money doesn't grow on trees, and believe it or not, just watching a video for free with the odd ad doesn't really pay the bills. So thanks to the following people for kindly supporting my work and this particular content. And those people are, of course, Ahmed Hadju, Matt Pugnaccio Racula, Animosity, Butt Pounder 420, Jensen Gore, Kovacevic, Tobias Bernasconi, Tosh, Toucan, and a special thanks always goes out to Jerky's Minion, my main man. You know what? There are plenty of perks to be found on my Patreon. Like, you can find out who upcoming guests are for my reflections, interviews, and talk shows. You can ask me a question in my monthly AMA. Might get roasted if it's a bit spicy in how you phrase it. You can figure out which pieces of content I might want to do next. I often ask people which they think between certain ideas, offer suggestions. You can even take part in one of those long discussions with me about all kinds of esports, whatever's on your mind. So if any of those sound like something that takes your fancy, put your money where your mouth is. Join the Scruminati today via the Patreon link in the description below.